Once again, the verses we have shown you were revealed over 1400 years ago to a man who couldn't read.
Ada ayat pembentukan manusia di dalam Al-Quran. Gak mungkin Al-Quran itu karangan manusia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bertemu kembali dengan Kang Sen di channel YouTube Pendeta Insaf TV. Para sobat, ada video yang sangat menarik di mana judulnya adalah ada proses pembentukan manusia di dalam Al-Quran. Ini nggak mungkin karangan manusia, dari akun YouTube Inspirasi Islam. Yuk kita subscribe, like, dan share Inspirasi Islam. Insya Allah para sobat, semakin dunia itu modern, semakin ilmu pengetahuan baru ditemukan, semakin terbukti bahwa Al-Quran tidak mungkin karangan manusia. Seperti apa keajaiban Al-Quran? Kita saksikan video ini hingga tuntas, kemudian kita komentari. Check it out.
Once again, the verses we have shown you were revealed over 1400 years ago to a man who couldn't read nor write. Are these the words of God?
Descriptions of the human embryo in the Quran cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century. The only reasonable conclusion is that these descriptions were revealed to Muhammad from God, from God, from God.
This is the head of the embryo at 22 days. The detail you are seeing right now is absolutely impossible to be seen with the human eye and can only be seen with a microscope. This is the back end of a leech.
No.
There's no other words used to describe this other than mind-blowing.
Keajaiban Al-Quran telah ditemukan di abad modern ini, yaitu tentang surah Al-Mu'minun ayat 12 sampai 14. Awal terbentuknya manusia di dalam rahim. Penemuan ini semakin memperkuat keimanan kita dan membuat banyak non-muslim berpikir, bagaimana mungkin Al-Quran yang dibawa oleh seorang nabi yang hidup di padang pasir tidak bisa membaca atau menulis memuat pengetahuan yang begitu akurat. Hal ini menjadi bukti yang meyakinkan bahwa Al-Quran benar-benar berasal dari Tuhan Sang Pencipta.
The statements we're about to show you are from the Holy Quran and is said to be the official, unchanged, pure word of God, revealed over 1400 years ago. Claiming to be the word of God is a heavy statement, and without proof, or if a single contradiction is found within the book, the apparent word of God will be proven false. So without further ado, let's put the book to the test. In the 23rd chapter, titled The Believers, from the 12th to the 14th verses, God is said to give a detailed description of how the human being is formed. It begins by saying, "We then placed him as a sperm drop in a place of settlement, firmly fixed. Then we made the drop into a alaqa." We will translate this word very soon. And then we changed the alaqa into a lump. Then we made out of that lump into bones. And then we clothed the bones with flesh. Then we caused him to grow and come into being and attain the definitive human form. In the 21st century, we can now safely say that this verse is clearly describing the process of human development in correct chronological order. However, what we should be paying attention to in particular is the second stage, referring to the development of the embryo. The specific word used to describe the embryo in this verse is the word alaqa. The word alaqa, when translated into English, can mean three separate things. Firstly, a blood clot, or to be suspended, that is to be hanging or clinging to something, or thirdly and finally, a leech. Now, all three definitions don't come anywhere near what we perceive to be the human embryo. So, why are these words used, and what significance do they share with the human embryo? Can the embryo be described as a blood clot? Well, what do you think? In the 3rd week of embryonic development, a tubular heart joins with the blood vessels to form a primordial cardiovascular system, and by the end of the 3rd week, the blood is circulating and the heart begins to beat on day 21. The first thing that comes to mind in regards to being suspended or hanging is the umbilical cord. But we can't use that example because we are simply referring to step 2, before the baby has even formed. But we now know today that the umbilical cord is formed from the connecting stalk. And the connecting stalk is formed as soon as the embryo is formed. The embryo's connecting stalk has even been described by John Allen and Beverly Kramer as an object to suspend the developing embryo in the extra-embryonic column. So an embryo is suspended and does have a strong resemblance with the blood clot. What on earth would an embryo have to do with a leech? Figure A shows the structure of an embryo at 25 days. Figure B shows a leech. Now please note once again that the embryo in this stage is no greater than the size of a kernel of wheat. This is an X-ray of the embryo at 22 days. This is the internal structure of a leech. It's mind-blowing stuff, but you still haven't seen anything yet. This is the head of the embryo at 22 days. The detail you are seeing right now is absolutely impossible to be seen with the human eye and can only be seen with a microscope. This is the back end of a leech.
No.
Masya Allah.
No.
There's no other words used to describe this other than mind-blowing. The pictures we have shown you are impossible to be seen with the human eye or even to be predicted by the human mind. Once again, the verses we have shown you were revealed over 1400 years ago to a man who couldn't read nor write. Are these the words of God?
Descriptions of the human embryo in the Quran cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century. The only reasonable conclusion is that these descriptions were revealed to Muhammad from God.
Tidak mungkin hasil dari Nabi Muhammad sendiri.
Unbelievable.
That's the craziest shit. That's the wildest. That's why I'm saying it's like every single time you do one of these videos, it just gets crazier and crazier. And I don't mean crazy as in crazy. I mean crazy as in like it's insane. Like it's mind-boggling. It's mind-blowing. It's unbelievable. It really is to think that someone at that time could write something like this. And that's why I'm saying he didn't write it. It's from God. God wrote it, and that is why people need to realize this information, because it's that interesting for me to actually think about it. The alaka, and he just broke it down, all three meanings of it: blood clot, suspended, leech. I mean, this is absolutely, and using the words that were available at the time.
Yes.
That is what is so beautiful to it, that it stands the testament of time, year after year after year, and you can just go on and on and on and on and just really delve deep and trust the words of it and know that this is divine. Yeah. This is divine. I've never even seen anything like that in the Bible, in the Bhagavad Gita, and in the Torah. I haven't seen things like this. Maybe they're there. Maybe they are there. I don't know. Maybe they are there. But I have not seen them. Definitely not to this extent.
Absolutely.
Because this is absolutely definitive proof that this is the word of God.
Firman Tuhan.
I mean, truly, because honestly, even if that word translated just as leech, that would still be very, very profound, right? But the fact that it has literally 3 different worded meanings, and every single translation connects to what it's saying. So that's why the book is so fascinating, because it's almost like poetry in that way, where there's essentially triple entendres, there's hidden meanings, there's a lot to encode, which I've always loved doing with text, like in English class. But
sungguh luar biasa melihat bagaimana sains modern mengungkap proses penciptaan manusia yang sempurna, dimulai dari setetes mani menjadi segumpal darah hingga terbentuknya janin, persis seperti yang telah disebutkan dalam Al-Quran lebih dari 1400 tahun yang lalu. Sedangkan pada masa itu belum ada teknologi canggih seperti mikroskop atau alat medis modern. Bagaimana mungkin pengetahuan sedetail ini bisa diketahui? Ini adalah salah satu bukti nyata bahwa Al-Quran bukanlah karangan manusia, melainkan wahyu dari Allah yang maha mengetahui segala sesuatu. Dalam surah Al-Mu'minun ayat 12-14, Allah menjelaskan tahapan penciptaan manusia dengan begitu rinci. Penemuan ilmiah modern ini seolah menjadi jembatan yang mempertemukan ilmu pengetahuan dengan keimanan. Semakin kita mendalami ayat-ayat Allah, semakin kita menyadari betapa Al-Quran tidak hanya menjadi petunjuk hidup, tetapi juga mengandung banyak ilmu yang menunggu untuk terus ditemukan. Semoga
Masya Allah, para sobat, terbukti bahwa Al-Quran bukanlah karangan manusia. Bayangkan abad ke-7 yang belum ada mikroskop, Al-Quran bisa menjelaskan proses pembentukan manusia, proses pembentukan embrio. Untuk bisa menjelaskan proses pembentukan embrio, pembentukan manusia, jelas diperlukan alat mikroskop. Dan di abad ke-7 mikroskop belum ada. Jelas, ini membuktikan bahwa Al-Quran adalah firman Allah, bukan dari pengetahuan Nabi Muhammad Shallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saja, melainkan ada Allah Tuhan yang menjelaskan kepada Rasulullah Muhammad Shallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Dan perlu diingat, tak ada kitab-kitab yang dikatakan suci agama lain yang menjelaskan fenomena pembentukan manusia, pembentukan embrio seperti Al-Quran. Mohon maaf jika ada yang salah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.